Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is John. I'm a full-time eBay reseller based in Melbourne, Australia. First of all, my apologies that the title seemed a bit harsh, but it's also a true statement. And let me explain. Fairness is something that we all want in life. We want things to feel fair, even if they are not. Fairness ultimately comes down to things being equal for some people, or feeling like it's equal. The moment we add feelings to anything, it becomes subjective, does it not? I think back to medieval times when people would exchange a life for a life. If you took someone's life, they took yours. But that's not what we're talking about with eBay, is it? There is no taking of a life or giving of a life in exchange. So that's not it. And then there was a thing about if you take coin, you would give coin back. That was until someone felt inconvenienced by the lack of coin. And so then it became, here's a coin in exchange for the coin you took from me, plus extra. The thing we disagree upon is the extra, isn't it? Because if I take $1 from you, you'll argue, oh, I could have done a lot more with that dollar if I had it, so I need $1.10. This whole concept of interest, this whole concept of compensate me for the inconvenience. Why am I saying it that way? Because I think it's bullshit, but that's just how it is, isn't it? Everyone puts a price on their inconvenience. So let's bring us back to eBay. eBay is a platform that deals with so many people across the world. And by that I mean, if you want to sell something to someone in Africa, you can. If you want to sell something to someone in the US, you can. If someone from there wants to sell something to you in Australia, that's possible too. What that does mean is that no matter what set of rules eBay places in order to create this sense of fairness, it's never going to be a commonly agreed upon fairness because it involves so many people across so many cultures who have different ideas of what this inconvenience is worth. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, as with all things fairness, assuming that we all agree. Let's just assume we all agree, okay? Let's just assume the world is great and everyone agrees on what fair is. There is still the aspect of enforcement. Human beings require supervision to do the right thing. That's just human nature. And I know you came to this video hoping for an eBay explanation, but then you're kind of starting to get a commentary on human nature. But that's really it, isn't it? Most of us go to eBay hoping that eBay will manage people so that we don't have to. But that's not a very realistic or reasonable expectation, is it? Because here's the thing. In order to enforce something, you first have to be able to verify that it's right. Verify that it's legit. Fact is, when I send something to you, eBay doesn't know that I've done that. For a fact. When you get that thing from me and you say, eBay, seller didn't send me the correct thing, eBay also doesn't know for a fact. eBay merely makes a judgment call, literally a judgment call. If you committed a crime or did not, or were accused of doing so, and you stood before a judge and the judge just made a judgment call without any evidence, without proving anything, you'd feel pretty hard done by. And I think that's kind of where eBay is at. It's like human beings expect eBay to enforce the rules that they create. But really, it's not an enforcement of anything fairness related. It really just comes down to a judgment call that they are going to make consistently or otherwise. And I think that's the other gripe, isn't it? We hope that eBay is consistent, but once again, it's humans making decisions on humans without any evidence. And so, in summary, when I think about eBay as a platform that is fair, it's not. But here's the thing, no other platform is fair either. Sure, there can be verification processes that are put in place by the platform, but guess what? You and I will pay for that, don't we? So I think the real decision then comes down to, it's not about choosing platforms that are more fair than others. You can choose platforms based on who makes judgment calls more consistently than others. But at the same time, most of us don't have a big enough sample size to make that decision. Let me explain. If I sell 100 items and I happen to have 10 of them go bad, that's a really high, I guess, number of bad transactions out of 100. If I have 10 of them go bad and the platform votes in my favor, judgment calls in my favor, That doesn't prove anything because I can't extrapolate that to the millions of people who may use a platform. If I find someone else who has 100 transactions and 10 that go bad, but the platform doesn't vote in their favor, what does that say about the platform? That it's just run by humans. That computers make decisions, we appeal them with really no basis, because once again, no evidence, right? So where that leaves us is here. When we start selling on any platform, we acknowledge that the platform doesn't actually advocate for us. If it does, it makes it easier for us to deal with the shit that happens on a platform, but it's not something that we're entitled to. A platform needs to create a bunch of rules because rules, I guess, create expectations of harmony and whatnot. But ultimately, if you find a bad buyer who is intent to bend the rules to their benefit at your expense as a seller, it's going to happen. Saying that the platform sucks at protecting you from that is not realistic, not reasonable. All you can really do is keep growing your business on any platform you choose, eBay or otherwise, and hope that by having great standards, you'll see I've gone from let's not accuse the platform to go to what can I do to protect myself? And that's really all there is to it, isn't it? In all things human nature. I can blame everybody, the government, the health system, the education, or I can just go, what can I do with my situation so that I am best protected from most of the vices, not all, never all. And so if I have shipping standards, photographs, descriptions that suit even the fussiest of buyers to a degree, then I know that from fussy buyer to buyers who are quite easy to deal with, I'm covered. Bad buyer who intends to scam me, they'll scam me once, I block them, never again. They'll scam someone else, they block them, never again for that seller. Maybe 10 sellers have to be sacrificed for this account to finally be kicked off and suspended permanently, right? And that's where you and I come in. As sellers, we have to report buyers who take advantage of the system. But beyond that, as we grow our businesses, I sell thousands of items a month. Many sellers do. Use our data to reflect the platform, not yours. If you have a smaller sample size, let's say you've sold 10 items this month, and of the 10, one of them went bad. That's a big percentage, 10%. For me, I've done 1,000 items this month, and out of the 1,000 items, none of them have gone bad so far. Am I lucky? No, I've got more numbers to show for it. But every 1,000 items I sell, I reckon maybe one or two go sideways. I like to use the word sideways because it's not like it's bad. It's like, item is late, I'm not really happy with the packaging, why didn't you include batteries? Just slight dissatisfaction that through proper communication can already be fixed. Platform's not even required, really. And the number of times cases have been opened for not received, not as described, and after some explanation, cases get closed by the buyer, no refund required on my part, tells you that people are mostly reasonable. So here's your spectrum. Really bad buyers, a very small sliver, based on my experience. And if you're a bigger seller who sells maybe 500, 1,000 items a month or more, please comment below. Because your comments will help the smaller sellers to realize that if they have a small sample size and they get a bad one, it's really just unlucky. That isn't a reflection of the platforms as a whole, or people as a whole. Have great standards, keep improving, and you'll find whether the platform is fair or not, you're not going to care anymore. So yeah, in summary, don't expect platforms to be fair because they can't. Not that they won't, they just cannot. No enforcement because they cannot, no evidence. And secondly, whatever rules they come up with, they're just rules. They pick something out of their ass, really, to create a platform. So yeah, have proper expectations, proper, realistic, reasonable expectations, and life as a reseller becomes significantly less frustrating.